Hello there. Welcome to the basement. Oh, we got a big one for you tonight, folks. Big. Big. Did I mention it's big? It's big. All right, you ready? Here we go. From CNBC, posted at 9:53 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this evening. Bob Iger returns as Disney CEO effective immediately, replacing Bob Chapek after a brief, tumultuous tenure. The article doth begin. Bob Iger is back. Disney, in a shocking late Sunday announcement, said it had reappointed Iger as chief executive effective immediately after Iger's handpicked successor as CEO, Bob Chapek, came under fire for his management of the entertainment giant. It is with an incredible sense of gratitude and humility, and I must admit a bit of amazement, that I write to you this evening with the news that I am returning to the Walt Disney Company as Chief Executive Officer, Iger wrote to employees in an email which was obtained by CNBC. The dramatic upheaval comes 11 months after Iger left Disney and days after Chapek said he planned to cut costs at the company, which had been burdened by swelling costs at its streaming service Disney+. Earlier this month, the company's earnings vastly underperformed Wall Street's expectations. Even its theme park business, which reported a surge in revenue, delivered less than what analysts had projected. Iger's return also comes as legacy media companies contend with a rapidly shifting landscape as ad dollars dry up and consumers increasingly cut off their cable subscriptions in favor of streaming. Iger will help the company's board develop a new successor, Disney said in a release. Chapek was named chief executive in February 2020, succeeding Iger, who had previously said he wouldn't return to the role. Shares of Disney have fallen about 41% so far this year as of Friday's close. The stock hit a 52-week low November 9th. Iger has signed on to work as CEO for 2 years, Disney said Sunday, with a mandate from the board to set the strategic direction for renewed growth and to work closely with the board in developing a successor to lead the company at the completion of his term. The company said Chapek stepped down. Soon after Chapek took over in 2020, COVID-19 became a pandemic and forced the shutdown of Disney's theme parks and prevented it, for a time, from releasing movies in theaters. Nevertheless, the company's stock soared in 2021 before crashing down to earth in recent months. We thank Bob Chapek for his service to Disney over his long career, including navigating the company through the unprecedented challenges of the pandemic, said Susan Arnold, Disney's board chair. She will remain in that role. Chapek, whose contract as CEO was extended earlier this year, planned a hiring freeze, cost cuts, and layoffs across the company, according to a memo CNBC obtained earlier this month. The internal memo came 3 days after the company's poor quarterly earnings report. Iger, who held the CEO role for 15 years at Disney, had favored Chapek as his successor. The two ultimately had a falling out, and their conflict cast a shadow over the company's future. Chapek distances himself from Iger with a series of decisions, including his new approach to streaming prices for Disney+, Hulu, and ESPN+. Iger is a widely respected and liked figure at Disney. He oversaw its deals to acquire Pixar, Lucasfilm, and its Star Wars properties, and Marvel, all of which have become multi-billion-dollar intellectual property behemoths. Chapek, meanwhile, angered employees with his initial silence about the Don't Say Gay law in Florida, where the company's Walt Disney World Resort is located. He then received blowback from Republican politicians such as Florida Governor Ron DeSantis for opposing it. Earlier this month, CNBC reported that Chapek had been in touch with Republican leaders in preparation for the GOP taking over the House being the House of Representatives. Chapek also was criticized for his handling of the controversy over Scarlett Johansson's pay for her work in the Marvel movie Black Widow. Iger's full email reads as follows. Dear fellow employees and cast members, it is with an incredible sense of gratitude and humility, and I must admit a bit of amazement, that I write to you this evening with the news that I am returning to the Walt Disney Company as Chief Executive Officer. When I look at the creative success of our teams across our studios, Disney General Entertainment, ESPN, and International, the rapid growth of our streaming services, the phenomenal reimagining and rebound of our parks, the continued great work of ABC News, and so many other achievements across our businesses, I am in awe of your accomplishments, and I am excited to embark with you on many new endeavors. I know this company has asked so much of you during the past 3 years, and these times certainly remain quite challenging. But as you have heard me say before, I am an optimist, and if I learned one thing from my years at Disney, it is that even in the face of uncertainty, perhaps especially in the face of uncertainty, our employees and cast members achieved the impossible. You will be hearing more from me and your leaders tomorrow and in the weeks ahead. In the meantime, allow me to express my deep gratitude for all that you do. Disney holds a special place in the hearts of people around the globe thanks to you, and your dedication to this company and its mission to bring joy to people through great storytelling is an inspiration to me every single day. Bob Iger. And Disney's full announcement goes as follows. The Walt Disney Company announced today that Robert A. Iger is returning to lead Disney as Chief Executive Officer effective immediately. Mr. Iger, who spent more than 4 decades at the company, including 15 years as its CEO, has agreed to serve as Disney CEO for 2 years, with a mandate from the board to set the strategic direction for renewed growth and to work closely with the board in developing a successor to lead the company at the completion of his term. Mr. Iger succeeds Bob Chapek, who has stepped down from his position. We thank Bob Chapek for his service to Disney over his long career, including navigating the company through the unprecedented challenges of the pandemic, said Susan Arnold, chairman of the board. The board has concluded that as Disney embarks on an increasingly complex period of industry transformation, Bob Iger is uniquely situated to lead the company through this pivotal period. Mr. Iger has a deep respect of Disney's senior leadership team, most of whom he worked closely with until his departure as executive chairman 11 months ago, and he is greatly admired by Disney employees worldwide, all of which will allow for a seamless transition of leadership, she said. The position of chairman of the board remains unchanged, with Ms. Arnold serving in that capacity. I am extremely optimistic for the future of this great company and thrilled to be asked by the board to return as its CEO, Mr. Iger said. Disney and its incomparable brands and franchises hold a special place in the hearts of so many people around the globe, most especially in the hearts of our employees, whose dedication to this company and its mission is an inspiration. I am deeply honored to be asked to again lead this remarkable team with a clear mission focused on creative excellence to inspire generations through unrivaled, bold storytelling. The rest of it's just a little bit of back and forth hiney kissing between the board and Mr. Iger. So, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, yeah. So there it is, folks. Anyone who actually believes that Chapek stepped down voluntarily, raise your hand. Anybody? Anybody at all? Yeah, no. His ass got canned. Let's see. What were those numbers? Oh, Oh, yes. Disney shares have fallen 41% so far this year, as of, 2 days ago. And the stock hit a 52-week low on November 9th. Yeah. Not great numbers. Not the kind of numbers that's going to help you keep your job. Oh, yes. And the necessity for a hiring freeze, cost cuts, and layoffs. Yeah, also not the kind of news that, the board wants to hear has to happen. The fact that you completely underperformed everyone's expectations, not so great. Yeah, Chapek was fired. He didn't voluntarily step down. He gone. I'm assuming they backed the Brinks truck up for Iger in order to get him back. Because like he said, he wasn't never coming back. The 2-year time on that contract, it took me a little bit to figure it out, but here's what I think is significant about the fact that that is 2 years. Within the next 2 years, Disney's going to have to be forking over a humongous chunk of money to Universal, NBC, Comcast for the rest of Hulu. And with the numbers now, coming up with said chunk of money is going to be a bit more difficult. So obviously Mr. Iger is there to do one thing and one thing only. That is get the company's valuation up so they can get the dough to pay off the rest of Hulu. Plain and simple. And then Iger will be like, all right, here's your new guy. Well, actually, he won't be like that. He and the board are going to agree on who the new guy is that he'll be spending the next 2 years grooming while hopefully straightening things out, at least fiscally so far as the board is concerned, and doing some other things that a lot of fans would like, i.e. reining in or even replacing Kathleen Kennedy, that kind of thing. So, I mean, although on the other hand, Chapek walked into a shitstorm. I mean, he started and then boom, pandemic. I mean, the fact that him and Iger had a falling out, that's on him. Well, it's on them both because, Iger's like, hey, man, I picked you for this. Why are you doing this kind of stuff? And he's like, hey, man, it's mine now. It's my party. I'll do what I want. Whatever. I do what I want. That was his basic attitude. And then, of course, COVID. And then, Mr. Chapek attempted to stay neutral when the law, now popularly known as the Don't Say Gay bill, was passed, much to the ire of his employees. And your mileage may vary on whether this was a good decision or not. He went ahead and decided to, I guess, show support for his employees by denouncing the bill, even though I'm assuming he knew what was going to happen. And this is why he tried to stay neutral, because he's dealing with Governor Ron fuck around and find out DeSantis. So, I mean, he was in a no-win situation on that one. Now, his decisions within regards to pricing and other stuff he's done that has since resulted in the stock plummet and the price hitting a year low. That's all him. So, and when it comes down to it, that's all boards and whatnot care about is them numbers. It's that bottom line. If they aren't fluffy enough, you gone. And so Chapek gone and Iger's back. And now we're going to see if he's there, if he's just going to do financial stuff or if he's going to shake a couple other things up around in there too. Again, I'm hoping he kind of takes a trot over to Lucasfilms like, now Kathy, what the crap is going on? Here's what I think you need to do to fix it. Said polite suggestion being, do this shit and fix it. That's what I'm hoping will happen. I don't know if it will happen, but I'm hoping. So, but yeah, Chapek out, Iger in. Oh, one other thing. Why was this news released at almost 10 p.m. Eastern time, which would make it 7 p.m. Pacific time? I'll tell you why. While it was news that had to be released, they were trying to keep it somewhat, at least buried a little bit in the news cycle. And I say that because even at 7 p.m. Pacific time, all the live news primetime shows are over. It's nothing but pre-recorded news shows or, TV dramas or Sunday Night Football or, what have you. But all the live stuff that could break in with their or whatever their freaking, whatever their little musical ditty is for breaking news to get everyone's attention, that's no longer an option. And again, as it gets later, as you come east across the country, people are just going to be getting more and more involved in their normal Sunday night routines. And, around 10 o'clock, some people's even going to bed. So, yeah, all in all, this is just, it's big, it's funky. Obviously the board felt something had to change like drastically and soon, otherwise this wouldn't happen like this. And they also obviously were like, man, putting the news out when they did, where it would, obviously nothing escapes the interwebs, or I wouldn't be making this video right now, but they tried to keep its impact as minimal as possible with the timing of that release. So, but anyway, we'll see what we'll see now. It's going to be fun. What will Iger do first? I guess we'll be finding out shortly. I know I'll be keeping an eye on this, and I'm sure you will be too. So, if you enjoyed this coverage / analysis / me blathering probably for way too long, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button, hit a like, go ahead and hit subscribe, comment, tell me what you think of this news. What do you think Mr. Iger's going to do in his 2-year tenure? Who are they going to groom? I have absolutely no idea who's out there in the corporate world, so I couldn't even begin to guess. But if some of you pay more attention to that stuff, let me know in them comments, man. But all the YouTube jargon being said of the liking and subscribing and commenting, it's like I always say, there's always a good time to be had when you're chilling in the basement.